What's up, boys? I missed you, boys. I know you guys are like, Trippy, that's you? You mean this channel didn't die? No, this channel did not die. And look, I missed you guys, man. I missed you guys. And I know that this is the longest hiatus I've taken in between videos. It's because, okay, your boy has been putting into work, overtime at work. I'm talking about I've been working graveyard shifts, been exhausted, splitting time between the gym, saving money. They have been killing your boy at work. You guys know there's a real world outside of this little YouTube bubble that we're in. We're typically on this whenever we're off work or whatever we're doing. And so, yeah, man, and that's been cutting into my career time, man. Anytime I take extra time in between videos and it seems like I'm getting put off schedule, it's likely due to the fact that I'm exhausted from work or the gym. But that doesn't even matter. If I can find the time, I don't care if the world is crumbling. I don't care if it's raining fire outside. If I can find the time, you guys are going to get a video. Now, with that being said, another reason why I haven't posted in so long, I actually attended this event. This event was very special to me because, as you boys know, my birthday was over this weekend. You guys actually don't know that, but my birthday was over this weekend. My birthday is on the 11th of February. And as a little birthday gift for myself, I took off work and we went to Houston. We drove down to Houston. I stay in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So me and a friend, we drove down to Houston and we ended up renting a hotel in Houston and, attending the event. And something weird happened. So we went to the press conference. This was the first ever press conference I went to, and the press conference was kind of weird. It was not as much as I expected. Honestly, I expected the press conference to be exciting, people screaming, shouting, and all this type of stuff in the audience, right? But whenever I got there, I'm guessing depending on how high profile the fight is, I don't know if the general public considers this fight high profile. I know us as hardcore fans, we consider it high profile, but pretty much the press conference, I've seen classrooms with higher attendance than the press conference. It was maybe 100 people in the audience. Maybe. I don't even think that. I think maybe 60 or 70 people in the audience. It was more than that. I would say about 100. I thought that it was going to be a lot more people than that, and I thought it was going to be a lot more crazy. But it reminded me of a classroom setting. It was the energy in it. It was I didn't even want to cheer or shout or do anything because when they would talk, it'd get real quiet, and I'm thinking I'm sitting in class. Also, they didn't talk trash. I thought Izzy was really going to try and get in Robert Whittaker's head, but he didn't. And I know, I guess that's fine. I don't really care, but I thought that there was going to be a lot more trash talk. Had there been a lot more trash talk, the energy in the audience would have been probably a lot more crazy. But anything they did say that was slightly off-putting or a little jab or an insult, the crowd went insane, as if Adesanya just dropped the whole comedic sketch roast on Robert Whittaker, when really it was a respectful press conference. So anyway, so something weird happened. So we ended up going to the press conference. Cool, right? And then we missed the weigh-ins the very next day, which was going to be a lot more exciting. And this event, just in my opinion, it was just a little bit off because Joe Rogan wasn't there. And I know a lot is getting made of that. When we were in the crowd at the event, there was a lot of people cheering. There was a lot of chanting, "Free Joe Rogan, free Joe Rogan." And that was going around. And obviously we know the controversy going around with Joe Rogan. I'm not going to give my thoughts on it. But pretty much, yeah, I think I don't think Joe is going to get silenced, but, he's going to be silenced for the time being, I guess. Anyway, there's no questions for this podcast. So if you guys want your questions featured on the next podcast, leave your questions under this one. I would like your question to let you know that the question will be answered, and then it will get featured on the next podcast. Because people ask me all the time, hey, I want my question to be on the podcast, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, how do I do that? And I say it in every podcast almost. I guess you guys don't listen. And I know my boys do. But, we got a few casual trippy fans in the comments that are like, hey, I would like to get my question featured in the next podcast. Well, there you go. Now you know. Anyway, so, man, I miss talking about this sport. So, since there's no questions, we're going to hop right into the main event. So, or no, the main card, sorry. We're going to start, obviously, we had a few great fights on there. Bobby Green put on a good performance. Bobby Green is really hitting another level in his career at this age. I always thought of Bobby Green as like I don't know, kind of like can't win the big ones, gets close to the top 15, but never can really crack it. Now, I believe he should be in the top 15, if he's not, if he's not already. Anyway, yeah, we had that. Nasrat Haqparast in an odd state in his career. He's got a lot of learning to do. The dude looks like Kelvin Gastelum and fights just like him too. Moving down the card, Roxanne Metafuri's last fight. Cool. She got pieced up. Cool. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about Jared Cannonier versus Derek Brunson. Okay, so Derek Brunson gets finished in the second round. I was really sad about that because I was in the crowd and I was probably one of the only people cheering for Derek Brunson. Anytime he get a takedown, it get crunk, and I liked that, but a lot of people were trying to see him get upset. I don't know what the hate is for Derek Brunson, man. I actually don't mind the guy. But, dude, his technique needs some work, you guys. And with him, part of me wanted the upsetting to keep going because it was pissing so many people off. But, even as a hardcore analyst of the sport, I see the errors in his game. And I am not one to talk about a fighter's technique like I can do any better. Dude, trust me. Derek Brunson's boxing looks horrendous, but he would knock me out. I'm not a pro fighter. I'm not ashamed to say it. So, but I can say at the highest level, when he's not fighting guys like me, at the highest level, man, his technique, bro. More so his boxing. So the fight started off real good for him. He took Jared Cannonier down kind of quick and not easy, but he took him down, and held him there for a little bit. Jared Cannonier obviously got back to his feet. And then they got into an exchange, and he rocked Jared Cannonier. And I was like, man, this is a great start for Brunson. Typically, if he can start his fights well, he typically does well throughout the fight. Well, Derek Brunson has had a gas tank issue, and he's always had one. And when he starts to get just a little tired, he starts getting so sloppy, and he just starts winging out punches and leaving himself incredibly open. Whenever he darts in, he even does this when he's not tired. When he darts in, the dude puts his chin straight up in the air, like begging for you, please hit me square in the chin so you can knock me stiff. It cringes me out whenever he strikes. And, after that first takedown and after that first round, man, it just seems like he lost a lot of momentum. And then Jared Cannonier got back up in that second round and started effing him up, and it didn't take long. And, that's where I thought Jared Cannonier would obviously score. Cannonier, in my opinion, doesn't throw enough, but whenever he does throw and he lands cleanly, it's like he landed one punch, bro. He landed one good hook, and Derek Brunson could not recover for the remainder of that round, and he ultimately got finished. And he got put out. He tried shooting in for a takedown. Cannonier stuffed it, wound it up on top, and elbowed him into the canvas. I mean, dude, it's heartbreaking to see because Derek Brunson has one fight left on his contract. I don't know if the UFC is going to re-sign him, and or if he even wants to re-sign. The guy's like 38, 39 years of age. I don't know. Maybe hanging it up is inevitable. But, you never know. Derek Brunson has never been in a title fight, but there's a lot of fighters that have never been in a title fight, but had great careers, so. Okay, but Jared Cannonier now is going to fight Israel Adesanya. I'm pretty sure that fight is going to happen. I mean, the guy made a huge drama show in his post-fight press conference. I loved it, though. I loved every minute of it. The crowd loved it, too. They got crunk whenever he did it, and so he might get it. But I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't think that Jared Cannonier beats Israel Adesanya. He's a stand-up fighter, and he's much shorter than Adesanya, and he's just going to stay it. He got outstruck by Robert Whittaker. You guys remember that. Although nobody talks about this, but Jared Cannonier broke his wrist in the first round of that fight, and he didn't throw his right hand for the majority of that fight. And yet he still wound up rocking Robert Whittaker and could have put him away. Just saying. Nobody likes to talk about that, but that actually happened. Anyway, I don't think, regardless of if he breaks his right wrist or not, I don't think that he's going to get anywhere near Israel Adesanya. I think he just gets plucked and picked apart from a distance. Adesanya fights extremely safe. And I don't think he's going to want to engage with Cannonier, and he's not. He's just going to jab, stick, and move, and get outpointed, or just outpoint Jared Cannonier, embarrassingly. Anyway, so, harsh truth. Anyway, so, now let's move on to the fight that everybody wants to hear me talk about. The main event. And so, basically, there's a lot of controversy being made up about this fight. And first and foremost, I'm going to say this, a lot is also being made of the commentary. You guys, I can't say anything about the commentary because I was at the event. I was in the crowd, so I didn't hear the commentary, but I heard that it was extremely biased towards Adesanya. And I also heard that Michael Bisping was saying a bunch of questionable things. And DC and Michael Bisping were just riding Adesanya's nuts for the majority of the fight. I don't know. I know that did happen in the Jan Blachowicz fight against Israel Adesanya, but Rogan wasn't there, so I'm assuming that it would have been even worse had he been there. But yeah, so I didn't hear the commentary, so I can't say anything about that. But if that is true, that sucks. But anyway, I can give my opinion on the fight, though. Although I was being a bit biased because a part of me wanted Robert Whittaker to win because I wanted to see history be made. But, and plus I like Robert Whittaker, and I thought with another devastating loss to Adesanya, it would really put his career in limbo, and I didn't want to see that, you know, and I thought, like, man, a trilogy between these guys would have been great. But after watching it for 5 rounds, after watching the whole 5 rounds, and this is in the arena with everybody cheering for Adesanya mostly, there was Robert Whittaker fans in the crowd, but Adesanya was getting cheered on, and, you know, I had to really sit there and concentrate, and I watched the fight, and at first I was leaning towards, man, Robert Whittaker, you guys, did not look right in the first 2 rounds. In the first 2 rounds, Robert Whittaker just looked so off. He didn't look as loose. He didn't beat on his chest. He didn't look any aggressive. It just looked like he was still battling those demons of their first fight. And you know what that reminded me of? It reminded me of Colby Covington versus Usman too, because Colby looked the exact same way. It was like he didn't want to engage with the power. He didn't want to get knocked out again, and he got in his head, and he started really slow. Same thing. And another eerie resemblance is that they both got knocked down early and had late success. But starting off, I was like, man, Adesanya is just toying with him. Robert has nothing for him at the moment. And especially after that knockdown, I was like, dude... Israel is probably just going to have a cakewalk with this guy. Well, I was wrong. And after 3, 4, and 5, after the fight was summed up, I was sitting there thinking, I was talking to my friend, and I was talking to her, and I was asking for her opinion on the fight. And she was like, honestly, I don't know. And then a few other guys around me were like, man, Israel got that fight. But then I was like, bro, in my head, I was like, man, am I crazy? Because I think Robert Whittaker did enough to win. Here's something interesting that really no one is talking about. Because I see it whenever I got back home, and then I started watching all of the other analysts on YouTube and some of the YouTube comments who weren't in the arena with me, who were Adesanya fans. They even said Robert Whittaker 3-2. I thought the same thing. I thought Robert Whittaker did enough. I just thought he simply outworked him. And so, what made me come to this conclusion, Adesanya landed a lot of body kicks and leg kicks. And then on top of that, he landed that devastating left that dropped Robert Whittaker briefly. Didn't really just hurt him enough to finish him, but he dropped him, right? And so I was like, man, after that, Izzy really landed a bunch of leg kicks and body kicks. That's it. That's it. And a few jabs here and there. That's it. Robert Whittaker landed more head strikes and got more takedowns. And was at a point close to ending the fight with a choke. He didn't get it, but still that happened. And bro, if we're judging this based off a fight, it's like Robert, in my opinion, did enough to win. Now he didn't beat the crap out of him and did all this, bro, but he won that fight. But I can't call it a robbery because it was razor close. But dude, I thought if this sport wasn't biased towards the champion or biased towards the stars, if this was just a fight that I took somebody to, we're both hardcore MMA fans, we have no attachment to the fighters, and we were the judges, and we sat there and we watched that fight, and we had to give our scoring opinions, but just based off opinions, Dude, Robert Whittaker won that fight, bro. Robert Whittaker won that fight. And, people in the arena were calling me crazy. They were like, nah, man, Israel won that fight. Israel won that fight. There was one other guy that was like, man, Robert won. And I was like, okay, so I'm not crazy. But then they gave it to Adesanya, and I wasn't shocked, I went home, and I was like, man, okay, I just got to rewatch it. Maybe it was a clear win for Adesanya. But then I get home, and I see you guys talking, and I'm like, yeah, I wasn't alone in that. I thought he won. Like I said, that jab was snapping Israel Adesanya's head back so much. And this really gives to the defense of Adesanya. Anytime Robert Whittaker landed a face shot, I was shocked. And if you're shocked every time Israel Adesanya gets landed on, that means that guy probably has really good defense. And he does. Izzy also was very comfortable with leading the dance this time. I was proud of him. But as Robert started landing those jabs and started doing his thing and actually started landing a bit to the face, Israel did not want to engage like that anymore, and he just resorted to leg and body kicks again. Dude, and I just don't know. Israel Adesanya is a big star, but his style is kind of, overrated. It's like he's not an exciting fighter. He's a skilled technical fighter. He has a cool style, but it's not exciting. It's not exciting at all. And eventually that's going to start hurting his stock because the dude is a decision machine now. He doesn't go for the finishes anymore. And it's like, I don't know why. I think after he fought Kelvin Gastelum and he got pieced up a little bit, I was like, he maybe thought in his head, like, man, this isn't fun getting punched in the face. I'm going to try my hardest to not get punched in the face. And, that's obviously how you win. But I'm like, man, stand in the pocket, bro. And I'm not meaning stand there and fight like a retard. But I mean, like, stand there and defend your belt. Anytime you get hit, stop running away. That's just how I feel about his style. And I'm an Adesanya fan. It's a bit annoying to watch. Because I think you can beat Adesanya by just turning him into a defensive shell. Because he just won't throw if you keep giving him things to defend against, The guy is all defense. And I can't fault it, That is how he gets most of his fighter. Most of those guys, Anybody that comes with an overwhelming wrestling style is going to give him problems because Israel simply won't throw enough on the feet. But anyways, man, one thing I can say, even though I felt like Robert won, was it a robbery? No, it wasn't a robbery. But I thought he won. And I think if you're a hardcore MMA fan and you really analyze that fight, I genuinely can agree with you if you go either way. Because, yeah, it was razor close. Israel may have done enough to win. Honestly, I got to rewatch it. I still do got to rewatch it. But watching it in the arena, despite having all those Israel Adesanya fanboys in the crowd, I was thinking to myself, am I crazy for thinking Robert Whittaker won this fight? Because landed more takedowns. And everybody's like, takedowns don't matter, man. And these are the same guys that had gone beating Francis Ngannou. You can't judge that. You can't keep these guys based on opinion. And I already know what you guys are gonna say. Oh my gosh, the judging criteria. We all know it sucks. We all know it's a terrible system to judge for MMA. Yet you guys are getting fired up and arguing with each other in the comments based on the judges' scoring criteria that you constantly criticize. We know it sucks. So why are you just so heavily basing your opinion on it? It sucks. It shouldn't be the judging criteria for MMA, yet it is. So I don't really use that as for my base knowledge of judging fights. I always trust my eyes and my mind. If I see, I'm like, man, he won that fight. He won that fight. And just like I said, the guys who are saying Israel beat Robert Whittaker are the same guys that said Cyril Gane beat Francis Ngannou, despite the man body slamming him all over the place and laying on him for 10 minutes. The dude had 10 minutes of ground control, 9 minutes of ground control time. I don't care what you do for the first 3 minutes of the fight. If I get in a street fight and a dude body slams me and he lays on me for 10 minutes and I can't get up, he won the fight. And anytime I try to get up, he body slams me back down to the ground. He won that fight despite not punching me in the face. I was completely held down against my will. That is winning the fight. But anyway. So yes, Robert Whittaker got the takedowns. He got Israel Adesanya's butt to the ground. That is scoring. He scored that takedown. And okay, let's just say nothing happened for the fight. Let's just say this happens, right? Let's say it's a fight. let's say Israel lands five hard leg kicks, really hard, make Robert Whittaker turn around. But Robert Whittaker gets 2 good takedowns. Who do you have winning that round? If your question is, I don't know, dude, that is what's wrong with the judging scoring criteria, because that is essentially how they're judging fights. You know? And so my opinion is that just have a good eye, man. Just have a good eye for fighting. Just like know, you know, and it's not that hard to do. If you watch fights for a period of time, you can watch without even concentrating that hard and find out who won the fight. You know what I mean? So anyway, getting kind of besides the point. So yeah, Robert Whittaker landed more headshots, and he landed, in my opinion, he clearly landed more headshots. But Adesanya was up on the striking numbers. I thought that was weird, but if you count all those leg kicks and body kicks that he landed a ton of those, and they were hurting Robert the more and more he landed it. But I mean, man, I judge a face shot over a body kick or a leg kick, especially if the body kick or the leg kick doesn't really bring a wince out of the opponent. But, you know, that is how Adesanya wins his fights nowadays, man. We want to know why? Because Adesanya has good kickboxing, but he doesn't have that great of boxing technique. His boxing is actually very lacking. If you don't believe me, watch how this guy throws punches and watch his boxing defense. Leaning back is very ill-advised in MMA, but he does it, and he's good at leaning back and getting out of the way, but you're not really supposed to do that, you know? But at one time head kick, and Adesanya is going out cold. But, you know, anyway, so yeah, you know, but he doesn't need good boxing. He doesn't need it. With his style, knee stomp, leg kick, body kick, run away. If you try to get too close, jab, knee. That's all he needs to win. He doesn't need to beat the crap out of you to win the fight. All he needs to do is just beat you, and that is how he fights, and he knows that. And that gives him a lot of criticism. But, you know, winning is winning, dog. But yeah, that's all my thoughts are on that fight. Robert Whittaker loses again, and you know he should have won. It should be 1-1, and we should have a trilogy lined up for like the summer. But you know what? We don't. So it looks like Jared Cannonier is going to get the next shot. He's just going to beat Cannonier. He's probably, if he beats Cannonier, I don't really know what's next for Adesanya. A Vettori trilogy. Dude, I got bored just saying that sentence. I died of boredom just now. I don't want to see that, and I think majority of the world doesn't want to see that. Robert Whittaker for a third time actually sounds more appealing than this because, you know, I think he won. But, I mean, we look down the list. Sean Strickland, really? The dude threw like 5 punches his last fight and ran away the whole time. If anything, people are criticizing Adesanya. They should criticize, well, they have been criticizing Sean Strickland, but my opinion, is even worse on that. But it's like reversed. Adesanya would rather leg kick you and kick you from a distance than punch you, and Sean Strickland would rather jab and punch you from a distance than kick you. So, you know, hand in hand, it'll be punches versus kicks in that fight, and I think Adesanya would tear up Sean Strickland's lead leg and eventually knock him out. That's just how I see it. Or no, knocking out. Adesanya doesn't really knock out anybody anymore. He would outpoint him badly due to kicks, a volume of kicks. He would not engage in the boxing at all. But anyway, if you guys enjoyed this podcast, let me know what you guys think. Short one because we had no questions, but if you guys want your questions answered in the next podcast, let me know. And you know how to do it. I explained it earlier. It's been your boy Trippy, and I'm out, man. More videos to come, and we're staying consistent, I promise. Goodbye.